who بالهو. وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. The Sheikh is making a dua. Please say Ameen. 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 We're still continuing about talking about the identity and how could you preserve your own Islamic identity. We started this last time in last lecture, and we continue inshallah in this meeting, and we hope that Allah will enable us to illustrate it. So we remind you of what when we defined the term your identity. It meaning the true thing that makes it different from others. The identity, the Islamic identity, is what makes Islam different than others, you're more unique than others. And we have discussed a meaning last time, and we said the belief in this ummah and to show the Islamic and to be proud of it, and to do the duty for the message of Islam, to deliver the message of Islam to people. And when we talk about the challenges that it faces the people with their identity, this is very important one. This is very serious, especially nowadays, because for you to stay in any other country besides an Islamic country, it depends on how much can you practice your religion and feel safe not to be tested in your religion. When you feel like you're tested in your religion and your Islamic identity, when it's challenged that you cannot overcome, then you have to find a different place to live. Allah said in the Quran, those who have transgressed against themselves when the angels took their souls, they said, what did you do? They said, we were weak in the earth. Then the angel told him, wasn't Allah's earth big enough for you? And you could have migrated? And Allah made an exception in that ayah for the weak women, men, and old men, and young people. There is a weakness that is not allowed, which is when Allah give you a way out, you need to go with what Allah tells you. But when there's no other power, these are the people Allah gave them an excuse and will not punish them for their weakness. But I mentioned to you several times before that the rule for living outside the Muslim country depends on the condition. Sometimes it is allowed, sometimes it is necessary or must, and sometimes forbidden. For anyone who is capable to practice his religion and be safe from his self and the people that he support from any test, any severe test in the religion. But when is it must? It is must on those whose who can teach the rules of Islam and to defend Islam to, and it is forbidden for those that he think that he's going to be tested, or those that he support in their religion in Islam where they cannot practice Islam, especially if they are capable of going or migrating or moving to another area. Sometimes you need to go in the different area in the city, or a different city, or a different town, or a different state, or a different or leave the country as a whole. You have to stay where you are more pleasing to Allah and more beneficial for your religion and to the servants of Allah, to the creations of Allah. And Allah's land is what big. Allah's, that's what he said. No one can say that he cannot find any place in this earth that he cannot worship Allah. If you put your priorities and preserving your religion is your top priority, then there is always a way out. There's always other alternatives. Allah said, "Oh my believers, my land is big, is vast, is wide. So, and me you worship, meaning Allah you worship." So if you put your priorities that Islam is the number one, to preserve Islam and to be able to practice Islam is your top priority, and everything you make decisions on depends on that priority, then you will find alternative for anything that you might face. Because Allah said that He had made this earth vast and big and wide, so you can migrate, you can do anywhere, and Him that you need to worship, Him you need to follow, Him you need to submit and surrender to. For the Muslim who lives outside, how about the new Muslims and the Native Americans, for example, the people who are born in here, those who are from this country, they need to stay in this country and to be patient about what hardship they're going to go through. When a lot of people they want to go, a lot of people who are embrace Islam, they wanted to go to the East and live among the Muslims to learn Islam. That's fine, but not to live there permanently. He have a bigger role that he could play in this country, in this community, in declaring the message of Allah, clarifying it to his people, because they are much it's a lot easier for them to talk to their peers, to talk to their families, to have a debate that people understand them, because they don't have the language barrier, they don't have the accent, they don't have any other social problems. Because when a person is born in this area, this land, it's easier for him to debate, to talk to the people of this country with a tongue or with a way that they will understand. So they need to be patient of the hardship they're going to go through, because they are going to be the core of Islam in this society. So when we talk about the identity, the Muslim identity, and the danger that is going through, we're talking about a very important issue, because once the identity is in danger, then this is not a place for us to stay, and you cannot live in here unless you are forced to stay, and we became among those who has no way out. So you have to believe in Islam and to be proud of being a Muslim. We are in a time that there's a lot of mixed issues, and we are among some voices who call for Abrahamic religion, which include Islam, Judaism, and Christianity. and all of these are leads to Allah. This is one way that is not accepted, and they bring with these ideologies as different branches in each religion. Like you have in Islam, you have Hanafi, Shafi'i, and so on and so forth. They think that you could go a little bit higher, you go Christianity and different sects of Christianity, or Judaism and different. This is all falsehood. This is something impossible to make. This is not. This is a cheating on Allah. This is cheating on humanity. Because this is falsehood, that is very clear. The Prophet ﷺ, he got angry of Umar when he was having a book from the Torah. He said, "You have doubt in Islam. By Allah, if Musa was alive, he will have no choice but to follow me." And Allah had taken the covenant from the prophets that if they reach the time of Muhammad said to believe in him and to follow the guidance that he came up with. This is a covenant that I took from all prophets. Like from what I given you from book and wisdom, and prophet came to support what you have to support him and to give him alliance. He said, "Did you make a covenant, a promise?" They said yes, and he said, "Then I'm among the witnesses. I'm with you as a witness." So to believe in this ummah, to be proud of being a Muslim, and to show the virtues of worship, the worship part, the prayers, the fasting, the charity, Hajj, the hijab for the woman. You cannot live in a place where you cannot show your Islamic identity and to be proud of it. And while we are going in the path, our youth, they're going to go through different challenges that we need to clarify what to do. Like when they go to the university, they have prayer time. How about the Jum'ah prayers? Like they have a test. What do you do with that? How do you handle the prayers? These are issues that they discuss with us. I will discuss with them, and we try to find solutions for them. And the AMJA, the American Jewish Muslim Association, their sixth convention, they talked about the issues that had to do with the youth outside the Muslim. They try to learn about all these issues, whether it is the worship parts or the social ones or the financial one, and they try to foresee what other challenges that our youth are going through in this country or other Muslim countries, and issues that need analysis and studying before we come to a verdict. And you could find this in amja.com. Whomever wants to look into that part. And we need to clarify some of the issues, whether they are easy or hard. We should not make it hard for them to worship Allah, nor to get the Islamic knowledge. And we do not lie in behalf of Allah, and we cannot say upon Allah except what we know. From the issues that our youth go through, and it is very important because it touches the identity, is the matter of halal and haram in the restaurants and other places, and to be equal to non-Muslims in their cultures and in their traditions. And I'll give a close example here, like the haircut, the qaza, which is uneven cut. We found some of our youth, they come with some weird haircuts, and some of it what the Prophet ﷺ has forbidden, which is al-qaza. What is qaza? Qaza is to cut part of the hair and leave the other part. And it has different forms of doing it. The mohawk, for example, and so on. Sometimes he'll cut in the middle and leave the hair on their surroundings. Sometimes they put it like the mohawk. He cut the sides and leave the middle. Or they will cut unevenly. Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen was asked about al-qaza, and he said it's different ways to cut unevenly, like from this side on the right and equally, as if you are going through a puzzle. Or he will cut a part and leave his sides, or the other way around. And all of these are not recommended, because the Prophet ﷺ, he saw a boy cutting part of his hair. He ordered that he will either be left the whole hair or to cut it or to shave it. Now, if the intention was to follow the example of the non-Muslims, the Prophet ﷺ, then it becomes forbidden, because he said if someone cut his hair to look like them and they're not Muslims, then he is not from Muslim. And some of the cuts looked like men for the women. The Prophet ﷺ told us about this dangerous path of attacking the Muslim identity or weaken it, when he said, you will follow the examples of those who were before you. One finger spam to another, and even if they went through the house of a dab, which is a small animal that goes into the sand, and so they asked him, is it the Jews and Christians? He said, yes, of course, it's them. Like you go to the example of those who before you, one hand spam to another, even if they went through the dab house, you will follow it. So they asked him, is it the Jews and the Christians? He said, yes, and who else? Muslim here to be very clear about his identity, be proud of his religion. Without an extreme, nor giving up, because both side is not accepted, and the truth is always in the middle between those who go to the extreme and those who do not do nothing. The Sheikh said that most people they fall into the trick of the shaitan, where it could either overspend or be more miser. The glorifying of Allah Azza wa Jal, not to challenge his order, neither with too ease nor with the other extreme. It is the middle that is what is needed. So we have to be careful about the educational calendar, and we have to give our kids in the Islamic schools and universities, and we have to give from our charity and our zakat to give for that. And I don't know of any Islamic school in the United States that is self-sufficient, because their income always below its expenditure. And this is, by the way, is in the charity way. And we're talking about one of the ways to protect the religion and to put our kids in an Islamic environment with whatever power we have. And we have to be careful about what is given as educational programs. We had one question from Michigan about what about the sexual education to the kids? Where we open their eyes onto the world of sex. And they don't want the Chinese to prevent people from getting their education. We have an Islamic curriculum. Like all the youth, they know that when they reach the age where they have the dream, where uh, the sperms comes out, this is all Muslim kids need to know. The woman, when she has her period, she understand that this is a special period, that she don't do pray during the period, she don't fast, and she had to make up for all of this. This is an ease from Allah. And she is obligated, and both boys and kids, when they reach that age, they are obligated with the prayers. And how does a woman we teach her to purify herself little by little, and each time you have to clarify, and clarification depends on the need. Don't delay it after the need. So whenever we need this education, you should not delay it anymore. And we have another rule. Sometimes the person cannot do or implement some of his religion, so you don't deliver him until he's capable of doing his duties. And the person who's making dua, who is following him, it'd be like the doctor who put the medicine in its place. From the thing that our youth are going through, some of the misinterpretation of the words of Allah, and the wrong or the false interpretation can go east and west and spread just like the wheat when it burns. Someone in California asked me this when I was there. He said, Isa is the word of Allah. That's true. And Allah's word is not created. Then Isa is not a creation. This is a Christian doubt. Like they say, don't you say that Isa is the word of Allah? Don't you believe that the word of Allah is not created? Didn't Imam Ahmad Hanbal went to a big battle, and he stood fast in the principle, so he could deny the saying that the Quran is created? So from that logic, he said, then Isa is not created. This is Quranic evidence that Isa is a Lord or a God. And a while ago, one of the leaders, the Qibtis in Egypt, he said that the proof of Quran that Isa is a Lord. And of course, this is our own misinterpretation of the Quran. We did not discuss it, but it became a fact that people are facing. So it depends on the area that is tested with this. You have to vaccinate. So what does it mean when go back to that mean he is created with the word of Allah kun, like be, and he was being. Allah did not do the natural of the creations. Allah gave Adam and Isa as an exception. Adam, no father, no mother. And Isa was, Allah said the example of Isa, just like Adam, Allah created him from dust. And then he told him be, and he was. So the word of Allah was the order of Allah, which is be, and it was be. It was done. And that's how Isa was born. Jibril, he blew with the order of Allah, and Allah can do whatever he wants. Allah said, the Messiah do not is not arrogant to be a servant of Allah. Allah will gather all of them who are arrogant to worship Allah. When Allah said, "Oh Isa ibn Maryam, did you say to people to take me and my mother as two lords from beside Allah?" He said, "Bless you, I cannot say what is not true. If I said it, you should know it. You know everything in my soul, and I don't know what's in you. You are the one who knows everything, all the unseen." I told them what you told me, what you ordered me to do, to worship Allah, my Lord and their Lord. And when you took my soul, you are the one who is observing them, and you are a witness of everything. If you punish them, they are their. If you punish them, they're your servants, and if you forgive them, you are dignified and merciful. This spirit that Allah has sent Jibril to blow in the womb of Maryam, it's the spirit that Allah has chose. Allah Azza wa Jal, He chooses whatever He wants. When things are attributed to Allah, because He is a creator, or as an honor to it. That does not mean that Allah give him part of being Lord. Allah sent Jibreel to the mother of Messiah to blow, to teach us that everything has a rule of Allah of reasons. It could be either something that is natural, or something that's extraordinary, like Allah said. Even when He wanted to feed the mother of Isa, He told her to shake the palm tree. It will come down to make it. And what good with her shaking? But Allah wants to always to give a reason for everything. So some of those doubts that people are trying to put are baseless. So our youth will not go through the hardship of being done. MashaAllah, protect us all. Sometimes history is presented as a way that Muslims are mugged, and they put some false names like, oh, the tyranny of Islam, or and some of the ones who authenticated the hadith, they did that to the hadith. But when it comes to the history, they did not do did not verify everything like they did with the hadith or the Prophet ﷺ. And those Westerners who are attacking Islam, they claim is history. Where they falsify the history and they falsely claim and attribute it to Islam. So the way they present the history as a bad history for Islam. This selective reading of the history, it is wrong. We say our history is not all great, but it's not bad at all. It has this and that. It has good and the bad. What is good, we are proud of it, and we stress on it and repeat it. Whatever it is negative, we learn from it, and we use it as an example, so we don't fall on those. And we try to see where did those mistakes come from, so history will not repeat itself and make the same mistake. The only time that history repeats itself is on the foolish people who do not analyze nothing, because those who do look at the history, they will not be so this is the path that we deal with. We didn't say we have the perfect history, nor was it a bad history at all. It has a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And logical to say that the good parts, we should be proud of it and mention it and stress it. Others, we learn from it and we try to see where our mistakes were and how we're going to protect the Muslim borders or the Muslims from any attacks. Why is it we fight each other? Why the Islamic sword is killing the Muslims more nowadays? And because of the external problem, it's worse than any battles that people did with outside enemy. These are all questions need to be put forward, and people need to learn from it and to be discussed. And we'll have a way to guide people. Well, in its way to wake up and to get its health. The summary here, that the Muslim identity needs a lot of effort. In our messages, we need programs for the youth and someone who is in charge of the youth, and he has to be among the youth because he could deal with them and their issues, and he knows how to interact with them, and they will be more attached to him than they will be with the old people like us. And we should not stop our youth and our kids from coming to the masjids. We have to solve our problems with our youth, so we don't prevent them from coming to the masjid, even if they are making us tired. Then we should have a replacement, and we gave examples before in the occasions or the public lectures or seasonal events. We could have babysitting for the little kids, and every lady comes to the babysitting where they will enjoy the babysitting and they can enjoy the program that is, and she could have peace to listen to the lecture. And we should not prevent the kids from coming to our masjid. This is a crime, but we have to organize it, and we encourage the parents. They have to be concerned to bring your kid with you. Make sure you control him as much as you can. Make sure he stands next to you to pray. If you can't control, then you give him to someone outside, to a babysitter or something, or we ask the management of the masjid to arrange this matter, where we allow the sisters to come to the masjid to see the goodness of the Muslims and to benefit from all the activities that happens in the masjids. This is the only place that we can have gatherings, Islamic gathering, that we live with. So we have to have youth programs and to have people in charge of this, and they must be among the youth so they'll be closer to their age and understand their issues. The last thing we're going to conclude with, we have to raise the value of halal and haram, the permissible things and forbidden things, in our soul first and in our youth. Let the kids know that they live in an area where people do not forbid the pig or the alcohol or anything that is haram, forbidden. At the same time, we don't put it in a way where he hates Islam, where he thinks everything is forbidden and all doors are closed. No, it's not like that. And whomever presented that way, he made a mistake, because the facts are not like this. Our religion is not a trench that is surrounded with forbidden things or things that are not allowed. Everything is allowed, and only the forbidden things Allah Azza wa Jal has clarified, because He said Allah is the one who created everything in this earth. Everything He has created is permissible, and the exception is the forbidden. I don't find what is forbidden unto me from someone eat, except that it is a dead or something, blood or pig or something that was meant slaughtered for someone else beside Allah. When the Prophet ﷺ was a day of Eid festivals, and he was sharing that Eid with Aisha, and then the Ahbash, they came in and they start dancing in the masjid. He said, "Oh, Humayra," that's his nickname, "do you like to lick them?" So he stood in the door and he put his garment on her, and he allowed her to look at them while they are playing in the masjid. And they are working with the arrows and the spears. This is not something the Arabs used to. And they used to use their own language in the masjid. And he also listened to their, and he didn't understand what they are saying, but he understood what they're doing. And he said, and he was encouraging them to continue. So they kept saying, so he said, "What are they?" They said, "Muhammad is a righteous man who allowed us to fester." And Aisha said, "I didn't understand anything except that they used to say, Abu al-Qasim tayyiba, tayyiba," with a broken Arabic dialect. And you know the rest of the story, when Umar came in and he was electrocuted when he saw them half naked, and he wanted to take some stones to hit them with it. There was no carpet, and he wanted to just stone them. He said, "How could this happen in the house of the masjid of the Prophet ﷺ?" And the Prophet said, "No, leave them. These are the people of Habasha, and this is how they celebrate Festa." And then told him, feel peaceful, keep doing what you're doing, enjoy playing. So the Jews and Christians will know that there's a lot of ease in our religion. He said, "I was sent with through religion, and when Islam forbids something, always give you an alternative." So from good understanding of the scholar. Before you tell someone it is forbidden, give him an alternative, so you don't complicate things for him. Some of the secular used to say the fiqh of naked, everything people love they make it forbidden. If they like a song, no, this is forbidden. Everything is forbidden. Of course, he's talking. There is so much falsehood in what they are saying. But part of what he's saying, even though it is little, it is true fact. So before we start forbidding something to anyone, let's see if we could have given alternative to others. Our religion, when it forbidden to use the bird to sell who is winning like a bet, Allah gave us so many alternatives. The people of Jahiliyyah, they used to have their way. They bring some stones and he will hit a bird. If he went to the right, then he said, okay, I'm optimistic. If he went to the left, then he said, oh, what a story. What is the birds and what is his knowledge about the unseen? Nothing. So there's always mix the falsehood with the right. And then also they have said something do not do, and there's something nothing. If he build up the do, he was happy. If he said do not do, he will repeat it again. The Islam came in and forbid all of this. Allah called it fisq, it is a crime. But he gave a replacement, which is as-sikhara. If he wanted to do something, let's make 2 rak'ahs, that is not obligatory, and let him raise his hand to Allah, the one who nothing is hidden from him, from heavens and earth, and he knows the secret and what is even below that, what our chest leave and our eyes keep or think. Allah Azza wa Jal will protect. If it is good, he'll make it easy. If it is bad, he will put things to stumble upon. So whenever something is destroyed, something better is replaced and more beneficial, and is more accepted by Allah. I will conclude with the statement Al-Hasan al-Basri said about some of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ, when he said, if you want, I will swear by Allah that the best beloved servant of Allah, the one who make Allah loving his servant. They make Allah is ease on people. When you make Allah is the best, when you talk about the wide mercy of Allah and the wide giving of Allah, these are the best people to Allah. These are the people who are more closer to Allah. Those who make Allah closer to the service of Allah, and vice versa. And they go always advise people. In the other side, you have people who cut the roads, not to take money from people, but they carry it on Allah, so prevent people from repenting to Allah or worshiping Allah. And those who does this kind of crime, and definitely there are more danger situation. Ask Allah Azza wa Jalla. Inshallah, continue Thursday, inshallah.